So we're going to kick off tonight with the opportunity to sing together. I'm a music minister. I worship at Roxbury Presbyterian Church. And we have a bunch of choirs. We have a children's choir, we have an adult choir, we have a praise team. But one of my favorite parts of worship is when we can do congregational singing, when everybody can join in together, put their voices together and make a sound in unison. Because that's so important, because that's exactly how, as a people, we can move mountains. When we work together, when we come together in unity, no matter what denomination, what faith you're in, when we come together, that's when we're the most powerful. So there's a song on your pew. I'm going to sing a little bit of it. I want you to join with me. Reverend Burns is behind the screen. You can't sing him, but he's going to be playing trumpet as well. So, so join in with us, okay? I promise that's the music stand. We are one in the Spirit. We are one in the Lord. One in the Spirit. We are one in the Lord. And we pray that our unity may one day be restored. And they'll know we're God's children by our love, by our love. And they'll know we're God's children by our love. We do that one again. We are one in the Spirit. We are one. Y'all sound good. We are one in the Spirit. We are one in the Lord, and we pray that all unity may one day be restored, and they'll know we're God's children by our love, by our love, and they'll know we're God's children by our love. We will work
Welcome, GBIO! Hi everyone, it's so nice to hear. My name is Reverend Leah Shu. I'm from Baltimore, Tennessee. It's so honored to be here. And so first of all, I'm going to start with housekeeping. Some logistics before we get started. We do want to let you know that there's bathrooms upstairs and downstairs right when you walk out. And if you need a separate bathroom, you can go out to the right, and somebody will help you find the right direction as well. And we also have our floor team. Raise your hand if you have a floor team here. All right. If you have any questions about action, feel free to ask questions to them. There are water bottles over there. There's some more food over there too. And we want to just, we're just so grateful to be here. And so just keep this event intentionally clean. So the trash cans outside, you can pick up after yourself. And afterwards, if you want people to help us clean up, that would be hugely appreciated and it helps our lives here. Social media websites, the hashtag we post content with friends, neighbors, and representatives know that GBIO is big. Ready to come. And finally, I want to invite you guys to come into this action in a full body and come alive. So action, a good action, is the reaction. So I want to hear you all act. Cheer and say, hey, and celebrate what you're here. Stomp your feet or brew and angry at what you're hearing. And when you hear the story, stand and solidarity with your brothers and sisters sitting on the stage on this mic by saying, yeah! Oh, no! Okay, so I'm going to ask you to practice right now. Come on, you guys, let's get into our bodies a little bit. Please cheer! For justice that we see. No! All right, thank you so much for your company. Thank you, my people. Before I say the prayer, there is one action item that I would like to request from GBIO in the future. And that is we pray first. The first thing we do as an action item is pray. Yeah. So with Allah's name,
the merciful benefactor, and the merciful redeemer. We come together knowing that Allah, God, has forbidden wrongdoing for himself. It has forbidden wrongdoing for humanity. Therefore, do not wrong each other. Allah, God, has asked the faithful to stand up firmly for justice as witness to him, even as against yourself, or your parents, or your relatives, whether rich or poor. For Allah, God can best protect both. We bring our hearts and our minds together in unity of purpose and ask that you bless GBIO with success in the fight for housing and tenant rights with the proper funding. We pray that our collective voice penetrate the House of Roads leadership and bring about a change in their thinking. Have mercy upon them and us. Our Lord, give us good in this world and good in the hereafter, and protect us from the penalty of our desires. Amen.
So we're here together today as all of us from different backgrounds coming together. And I want us to take a moment to get to know people real quick around you. So stand up with me if you can and just say hi to the people around you. Their names, hi, shake your hands.
Find a seat again, find a seat again. I'm Rabbi Toba Spitzer of Congregation Dorchate Tzedek in West Newton, co-chairing this evening with Reverend Lydia. For all you Celtics fans, I'm going to be the Time Lord. So I want to welcome some special guests joining us this evening. The Mass Union, RAC, Massachusetts, MAPC, the Boston Building Trades, the Boston Housing Authority, and our very special guest, Senator Lydia Edwards. Can we give a welcome? So I just want to give a quick rundown of what we're gathered here to do tonight, and then we'll launch right into it. So I think of GBIO as a covenantal community, people of different institutions, different backgrounds, faiths, communities, finding common purpose and committing not just to values and not just to action, but to one another, that we're here to stand with one another. And tonight we're standing for home. The home in Jewish tradition is a sacred place. If you walk into a Jewish home, often you'll see a mezuzah, a thing up on the doorpost that has words of Torah in it, sacred words. And that's how we mark our homes as sacred. But every home is sacred, and every person, every human deserves a home. So that's what we're here tonight to do. We're about, are we ready to go all in and remind ourselves why we need to demand a real political shift with regard to the housing crisis. Our goals are big, so our energy has to be even bigger. So what's on our agenda tonight? First of all, we're in person. Maybe the Jewish folks here will join. It is a blessing we say in Judaism when we do something either for the first time or for the first time in a long time, called the Shechianu prayer. So let's do that blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Blessed is the source of life who has kept us in life and sustained us and brought us to this moment. So tonight we're going to recap where we've been in the housing campaign thus far, celebrate some new relationships. We're going to learn about a political opportunity to go into action together on, we think, June 26th, with 800 to 1,000 people to shift the political dynamic. And then to turn that into a reality, we're going to have a little time in small groups in our institutions to really think realistically, how many folks can we turn out? So we're going to begin with a video to sort of help us get all on the same page about the housing campaign, where we've been.
The apartment where my child and I lived was filled with cockroaches and they were crawling all around place when we sit down to eat. And literally I saw thousands of other crawling all over the apartment wall.
I went to a homeless shelter when I was in my early 20s. I had a son, and I got into one find help. And they forced me to walk that door and be in my apartment with no one telling me I had to do this or that. Save my life.
The problem that we're having with our state public housing is there's not enough money to keep the units in good shape. For the residents who live there. In 2005, Harvey did a cost study which said that the cost of operating state public housing is $105 million a year. That if
GBIO, the best laid plans. If this, so we'll take our frustration with tech and add that to even more action fuel when it's time for 1,000 people. 2026. This is actually good. My piece is functionally recapping this video anyway, but I will say to you, this video is gorgeous. It is heartbreaking, and we are going to hear some of these stories live and in person. And isn't that better? So, I come to you tonight for a live edition of something we've been doing in GBIO for the last few months in this housing campaign. We've been calling it the Phil and Phil News. I am one Phil Jones, First Church, Cambridge. The other is Phil Hillman of St. Paul AME in Cambridge. He is away celebrating his birthday tonight. So, can everyone please say for the camera, happy birthday, Phil. Happy birthday, Phil. All right, into the news and our recap of where we have been in the housing justice campaign. The news is good. Our top story tonight is GBIO is powering up. Our power trajectory is pretty darn excellent. Back in November 2022, we had a delegates assembly on Zoom. Remember that? We ratified our four-prong housing justice campaign. In January and March, we had 45 institutions that all had teach-ins. We learned a lot about housing justice. Who went to a teach-in? Who had a teach-in? Show of hands. So if I was someone at the State House, I would be scared at the percentage of this room who knows what a real estate transfer fee is, who knows what a bond bill is, right? Knowledge is power. And then on March 16th, we brought 300 people to the State House. Who was there outside the State House when we launched this thing publicly? Good. And then we had 2 local tenant actions with 200 people in total standing out with the West Broadway apartments and with tenants in Brookline. Those were major power-ups. That's where we've been, GBIO. And when we go into action, we get reaction. The reactions that we got. Before we had our March 16th action, we could not get meetings with people like Senate President Spilka or Governor Healy. After the 300-person launch, we started getting some phone calls from them. We powered up. The budget for public housing was initially filed at $92 million. Now there's a chance it can be increased to $107 million, the largest single-year increase ever. We've also been getting some press reaction. We've made The Globe, we've made GBIO, we've made Channel 10, and we have had some local wins too. All the way in Lexington, GBIO leaders were part of a major town meeting vote to pass this incredibly expansive new zoning plan as part of the MBTA Communities Act. And we hear it for Temple Amona, Temple Isaiah, Temple Chautauqua, Hancock UCC. Who hears from Lexington? We had some people drive all the way in. That's right. They ran actions and sent postcards to 170 town meeting members. And they showed up to public meetings. They fought to undo racist zoning policies. They flexed their power. And we have built some powerful new relationships along the way. We have to thank Senator Liz Miranda for introducing Senate Amendment 195 to increase the Senate budget to $125 million. Although the amendment was withdrawn, we have a powerful new ally in the Senate, and I did download this video ahead of time. Senator Miranda is out of the country, but let's watch GBIO's power in action on the floor of the State House.
I stand before you today in support of Amendment 195, which funds state-owned public housing authorities for sustainable upkeep and deferred maintenance in our public housing across the Commonwealth. The state of public housing in Massachusetts is actually grim. And according to recent reports, the 70,000 people who call state public housing home have children with elevated levels of lead in their blood. If we are the leaders in the climate crisis nationally, we cannot leave behind communities who've been historically impacted most by environmental injustice and disinvestment. Environmental justice must be at the forefront of our climate crisis response. I have the highest concentration of state-aided public housing in my district. As the chair of the Joint Committee on Racial Equity, Civil Rights, and Inclusion, I share with you my very deep concern about the state of our public housing in Massachusetts. This is also a racial justice issue, and it's unacceptable. I may be the senator from the 2nd Suffolk now, but I've been a Black woman from Roxbury my entire life, and that comes with such a responsibility of amplifying the voices of people who are not in this building and likely won't ever be. In February 2008, DHCD did a real cost study. It substantiated the actual cost of operating public housing using federal standards as almost $112 to $115 million annually. Adjusted for inflation, the current estimated cost is actually more than $180 million. Invested in public housing building maintenance and upgrades is critical to reach our environmental goals. We need to make these investments toward better air quality, eliminating mold and lead, and getting rid of the pests for our lowest income residents. But not just an environmental justice investment, this is an opportunity to create jobs, permanent careers to reconstruct these buildings to improve the quality of life for our most vulnerable residents. And although I understand we may not improve this investment today, I would ask my colleagues to not forget and seriously consider investing significantly in the future and prioritizing our state-owned public housing. I am grateful for the $107 million allocated in the Senate budget towards public housing. I urge my colleagues to be supportive as this is the first time there has been such an increase in funding towards ensuring a quality standard of living. I look forward to working in partnership with all of you to ensure safe, healthy, and affordable housing for all in the Commonwealth.
The amendment was withdrawn, but that takes guts to stand up and bring public housing to the floor of the Senate. One more for Senator Miranda. Yes. Our next guest on GBIO News tonight is our first ever live guest. Senator Lydia Edwards is here with us tonight. Senator Edwards, we have to thank you for all your leadership on housing, eviction ceiling. I had to write it all down. There's so much TOPA, RAP, so much more leadership on public housing. Tonight, we invited you here to recognize your strong support of upping the operating budget, and we're pretty pumped to work with you on real estate transfer fees, $8.5 billion in the bond bill for housing, and the operating budget for next year. GBIO can give a warm welcome to the chair of the Housing Committee, Senator Lydia Edwards.
So, greetings from East Boston. That's where I live. Well, a couple things I want to say in terms of house cleaning and what we've been able to do, what many of you are able to make happen historically, at least in the State House. In the Senate, for the first time, 10% of the senators are people of color. It's important that we recognize what we have done and the wins that we've had collectively. My sister Liz and I are the first time two African Americans have been, or excuse me, Black people have been in the Senate ever together. And then we have our brothers in service, Adam Gomez and Pavel Payano. So we represent collectively probably the majority of the people of color in the Commonwealth when you look at all the areas that we represent. We also, I believe I'm the first person of color to chair the Housing Committee in the Senate. And these firsts matter because the stories that we bring with ourselves, the compass, the moral compass that we bring matters when you sit down to talk about what's urgent. Who matters, right? What we can leave for next year. It matters who's at the table. And I have to say, I am so incredibly happy. And the good trouble me and Liz are going to do together. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know. And I'm sad she's not here, but I'm happy that she's doing what she's doing but when you see us together and how we play on and with each other, how we support each other's bills, a lot of that just isn't online. A lot of that isn't, it's sitting down and who are you going to talk to? I'm going to talk to this person, this person, this person. You got this and this and this. I got this person. We divide the map sometimes. You got Western Mass. I got South Shore and so on and so forth. And that's what it takes. And so in part, that's also what I'm here to talk about because I know you have questions about what's it going to take. What's it going to take to get the State House to move in a way that centers housing, that centers human dignity, and centers that housing is a human right? What's it going to take? I was very actually inspired by the song, They'll Know We're God's Children by Our Love. Because I began to think, so what is love? And what does love have to do with policy? Love is action, right? Love is an emotion. It's a moral compass for some people. And so when I go to sit down and say, I'm going to make policy through a lens through love, then I owe not just you, but my constituents and those who are depending on me to do the right thing, I owe them a loving response, a loving effort, a one that is filled with my heart, brain, and action, but more importantly, that is guided by you. Love isn't good unless it's reciprocal, right? And so that's how I feel our relationship is growing and deepening. By our, I mean GBIO collectively. Love doesn't mean without anger. It doesn't mean without accountability either. Okay, I know. I'm ready. That being said, when I genuinely feel when I say we can do it this way or in this movement, I genuinely feel GBIO will be, we got your six. We're right there. If you need, no, I'm serious, and I say that with love and after growing relationship. Many of you watched how I was on the city council. Many of you saw the work I did before city council as a legal services attorney. Okay, many of you saw before I was at Greater Boston Legal Services, I was organizing nannies and house cleaners. I learned Portuguese and Spanish from those women. And we organized, and this is how I met many of you, in the church. Because we had no money. We had no political power. We were mostly undocumented. And I'm still learning Spanish and Portuguese. And somehow we're going to change the law of the state of Massachusetts to recognize the dignity of nannies and house cleaners. And we did. And we did. Because I went to synagogues, I went to mosques, I went to First Union churches, I went to all of these different places and met workers there. I also met employers there. So I believe anything is possible. I truly do. With less money and less effort, we managed to change and have more rights in Massachusetts than they do in the UN Convention on Domestic Work. We beat the world on that. Through love and connection. So I'm happy to answer any questions about how to move on the transfer fee, because I believe that is a popcorning effort and issue to happen. I'm happy to answer and talk about any questions when it comes to specifically how do we raise the money that's necessary for public housing and continue that conversation. But just know you have an advocate in me, and the good trouble is happening even if it's not on Twitter, okay? Okay.
Thank you, Senator Edwards, for leading with love on housing justice. Our final report tonight is a quick run through of the numbers still ahead. We are looking forward to working with you as chair to get the most housing justice we can. If you fight, we're going to show you some love. GBIO's got your back. Do we have her back? Yes. On the other hand, we are going to need to be strong enough to build a lot more relationships and build a lot more tough, loving relationships with people in power at the State House. Because this budget, it's looking like it's going to come out at around 107 million. And we know, GBIO, the need is 184 million for public housing. We have to power up to get that in the budget. If it happens next year, it happens next year, but we go till we get it. Real estate transfer fees, the reentry bills, they are not guaranteed to pass unless we power up and get them passed. We have moved the needle some, but we got to do a lot more than moving it an inch. So that's why tonight I will transition us to folks who are talking about where we are going. All I can tell you, I'm a reporter, is where we've been. We are headed towards an 800-person action at least. It's going to be big. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be full of love. Thank you for joining me for a live edition of GBIO News. And until next time, this is Phil J. signing off and handing you to Pastor Lydia. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Phil. So this is GBIO's Housing Justice Campaign. We've got our issues. We have our targets. We've got some power allies like Senator Miranda and Senator Edwards. Thank you. And so we've got a thing to do here on. And now I want us to hear from more leaders in this work to inspire us on why we're here, why this matters, and why we are going to show up on June 26th strong. Father Pratt?
I just want to briefly give you a little information, if you will, about St. Catherine Drexel and St. Catherine Drexel Parish and Drexel Village. St. Catherine Drexel Parish is the former St. Francis de Sales St. Philip's Parish, which is this building right here, this property that we're on today, and St. John St. Hugh, which is in the Grove Hall area of Dorchester. So we're between those two places. Just to let you know, we came into existence in 2005. Really, that's all I got. Okay, I gotta talk. Talking fast. Drexel Village is what we as a parish are trying to establish here on what is our parish property, as well as what is known as the Crescent Parcel. So as a part of Mayor Walsh's Boston 2030, we came together, we partnered with the Planning Office of Urban Affairs, as well as J. Garland Enterprises, and we submitted a proposal, which we won. So we are the temporary designee to develop this part of the Nubian Gateway, and we are very excited about this. This will be a 3-building project with a lot of open space in between. It is something that is born from St. Catherine Drexel Parish's dedication to what is just and what is right. Not only does everyone deserve a home, but everyone deserves a home worthy of a child of God. Amen. So what we will have is a 217-unit, 3-building housing complex. 75% of these units will be affordable. And what is most exciting to me is initially we will have 11 condominium units for first-time homeowners. Working to increase the real estate transfer fees, utilizing those monies that are here in the state and that we could increase in the state, that would help us to more than double the ability to offer more homeowner units. And again, I know, I will stop. But we just stand firm in the belief every person deserves a home, and every person deserves a home worthy of a child of God. Amen.
How's everyone doing? Glad we're all gathered here. My name is Jose Lorenzo. I'm here with Justice for Housing. I'm a case manager and a housing navigator at Justice for Housing. And thank you. I'm also a son of Roxbury. This is actually the very community in which my history of incarceration started. I have been incarcerated since my youth. I recently served a 9-year prison sentence. And prior to that, I had never been home longer than a year. I say all that to put a face on what this act is going to assist and aid. The act is called an act to secure housing for returning citizens, 878, right? And so when we use titles like returning citizens, we have to treat people as such. That means they have to have, thank you. That means they need adequate housing like everybody else has, the same civil liberties, opportunities for employment, so on and so forth. Real assessment for the things that they went through while incarcerated and being received, like was said, with love, you see? And so when we get behind an act like this to support such a thing, what we're doing is we're creating a real stepping stone for individuals to really get on the right footing when they return. I sit here in front of you. I've been home 4 years now, haven't recidivated in any shape or form. I am now a full-time employee at Justice for Housing. I started as a client, and I'm still actively seeking reunification of my eldest child who ended up in the foster system while incarcerated. I wouldn't even have a footing in this hadn't it been for Justice for Housing, the voucher program, and things like this. So we need to get more of it available for more returning citizens like myself. And thank you. I'll keep that brief. Thank you.
How's everybody doing tonight? So I'll be brief as well. I go by Truth. I'm also formerly incarcerated. I was incarcerated for 16 years. I've been out for about 8 months now. I'm here out of Lowell. I'm actually a reentry coach in Lowell right now with the Thrive communities. I started off as a client like Jose, and I've been working there for the past almost 3 months. So my affiliation with GBIO started with the reentry team. And when I came home, I didn't have an ID, right? So although I was promised by the institution that I would have one when I departed the institution, they took my picture from my state ID, and they assured me that the day I left, I would leave with one in hand. That wasn't the case. So when I got home, I couldn't get an ID for 4 months, right? So I really wasn't, I was like free-ish, right? Because I couldn't get a job. I couldn't open a bank account. I couldn't cash the check that the institution gave me when I left the institution. I couldn't get housing, right? And there's individuals that I work with and serve in man, where do I work at? In the Lowell and greater Lowell area, who come home and I can't serve them. I can't help them get a job. I can't help them get housing because they don't have IDs. There was a guy this week who just came home, didn't have an ID. Although the work that GBIO has been doing with the RMV and the DOC, there's been promises and assurances that individuals will be leaving with IDs, and that just hasn't happened. So we need your support on the 26th to ensure that individuals don't have to choose between potentially recidivating or feeding their families, potentially recidivating or having housing, potentially recidivating or being able to work as a productive member of society. So your support is dependent on, or this bill and them being able to end the society is dependent on that. So we need you. Want to see you on the 26th. I appreciate your time. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your service. It is greatly appreciated, by the way. My name is Kenneth McPherson, and I'm an organizer. I have worked with Nash Union. They have taught me so much. They have taught me the codes. They taught me what people actually need to do to actually defend for themselves. It is so important. I'm a lifelong resident of Stoneham, Mass. I went from living in a home that a family owned to a family living in public housing, a son of a Vietnam vet who had to now make choices of food, lights, oil heat, which we use for hot water, or pay the rent. There were times when we had to have cold showers in some of the most brutal of winters, on record with broken windows that were not fixed upon request. Faced with these choices and times that we had to choose between having food, it was lucky that we had a choice to have that food, but we were still cold, freezing. I'm fighting for justice, for basic human rights, to live in a safe and affordable, healthy home, to have our buildings fixed and updated, not where we have to have mold growing that causes unforeseen illnesses or even death, and medical expenses that most of us really can't afford. Our elderly need more accessible units. Our families living in these conditions need all of our help. I am humbly asking for all of our help, for all of us to come together, to make a change, to make a choice that we can do it together. Because the only way we can is when we come together. So I'm asking, please help make a difference. Help us fund the underfunded and give us our family the chances for a safe and healthy home. For that, I would thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Kenneth, Truth, Jose, and Father Pratt, for your stories, your experiences, bringing your whole self and leading us in this fight. And we've also got allies, GBIO. Let's hear from how they want to stand with us on June 26th to take our organizing to the next level. First up is Sarah from Mass Union.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having Mass Union. You just heard from Kenneth. He said it much better than I can. He's a member of Mass Union. We are an organization that's run by public housing tenants for public housing tenants. We have members all across the state that work in local tenant organizations to have a voice locally at their housing authority and what goes on. We're fighting for the subsidy, of course. We're fighting for more money from the bond bill. We're also fighting for more money specifically for tenant participation. Federal residents get about 4 times as much money to form their local tenant organizations as state residents. So we want to thank Senator Lydia Edwards for introducing a budget amendment that would have equalized those. We want to thank Rep. Carafiola, who introduced an amendment on the House side as well. So all you good people, I also want to, does anybody here live in a town? You can run to be on the board of your local housing authority. And you can make a big difference from that spot. There are only 5 people on the board. They run, they supervise the executive director. They work with the tenants. You can make a big difference. So just think it over. You'll probably run unopposed. So just thank you guys again so much for having Mass Union. We are just thrilled to have GBIO bringing attention and power to this fight. For so long, no one even knew we had state-funded public housing in Massachusetts. So it's just so great to have this more on the radar. And I think we're going to win if we keep fighting.
Good evening, GBIO. My name is Joel. Well, I'm here representing the Boston Housing Authority and all the housing authorities across the state. GBIO, I have a question for you. Do you know what housing authorities and faith communities have in common? Do you know? Old buildings. We have old buildings that need to be repaired, right? Am I right? Okay. But GBIO, and maybe this is because my partner is a faith leader in the Jewish tradition, right? But we have something else, right? So I know that faith communities, I know that often you talk about promises, right? You talk about covenants or covenantal community, right? I've heard that language before. Well, I want to tell you something about public housing, right? When we built public housing in this country, when we built public housing in this Commonwealth, that was the covenant that government made with people to say, you will have a home. We will give you a home regardless of if you are homeless, if you are very low income, if you are a victim of domestic violence, if you are a veteran, if you are any other person, you will have a home. That is what public housing means. I have one more question for you. Have we fulfilled that promise, that covenant? So that is what we're fighting for. And if you turn out 800 or 1,000 people, and then you turn out 1,500 or 2,000 the next rally and the next rally, we will be able to make that promise real again. Thank you.
Wow. Good evening. My name is Shamia Turner, and I'm the Business Development Representative for the Sheet Metal Workers Local 17. And I'm here tonight. I'm here tonight with my brother Shaitan Green, and we're here representing the Boston Building Trade Union. I want to thank you for this awesome welcome into your congregation and the powerful stories that have already been shared thus far. So a little bit about us. We represent 35,000 union construction workers across workers and their families across Greater Boston, and we work in partnership with 3,300 union construction companies. Thank you for your efforts in this important cause. Every worker deserves fair wages, healthcare benefits, retirement benefits. In addition to that, access to world-class training and safety programs. We invest over $50 million per year on these protections through our union apprenticeship programs and journey-level upgrade training. We also know that to lead a safe, supported life, that in addition to a good career, families need good housing and so many other things to support our communities. Our members are those families, and we look forward to participating in a holistic approach to building community. Thank you for letting us join you tonight. Our values are in lockstep with yours, and we are committed to working with GBIO in this fight and other justice fights. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Walsh. I'm a policy analyst for MAPC, which is the regional planning agency for Greater Boston. As you can tell by the name, we love plans, and you all have a fantastic.
Get it together, Matt.
And the senator saved me from not having a plan. Thank you. I'm here today as the co-coordinator of the Local Option for Housing Affordability, or LOHA Coalition. It's a coalition of more than 160 organizations statewide supporting a transfer fee to fund affordable housing. We believe that we must empower all communities to be a part of our response to the housing crisis with solutions that protect those struggling most and tie the heat of our housing market to the resources that we have to provide for residents' housing needs. We know that Rep. Connolly and Senator Comerford's transfer fee bills do just that. And we also know that on June 26th, we're going to leave no question. Housing justice cannot wait. Our communities need these resources now, and I'm glad to be working with you all to ensure that they get them. Thanks.
So there are two organizations that stand with us, could not be here in person tonight, Mass Nero and CHAPA. So we're going to include them in our huge thank you to all of these amazing organizations. So I've been a rabbi for 26 years, but I'm actually a failed community organizer. So that's why I'm so honored to invite up our lead organizer and executive director, Kathleen Patron, to talk about June 26th.
Good evening, GBIO. How are you doing? All right. Normally, I help people with their pieces, and I don't have to do this. So give me some grace. I'm also too short to be here. So many of you know me. My name's Kathleen Patron. I'm the executive director, lead organizer of GBIO. I've been doing this work for 13 years. What many of you probably don't know is a story about me that I'm going to share that's slightly embarrassing, but you need to know it. There's one thing you need to know about me to know something about me. When I was 5 years old, I told my parents I was going to go catch birds. And they were like, all right, Kathleen, sure. 5 months later, after a lot of different strategies, I walked in and I had a goldfinch in my hand. All right. Did I know I was going to be able to do it when I started out? No. Did anyone think we were going to be able to do it? My parents? No. Thank God they didn't tell me no. Do I know that we're going to be able to do this and June 26th is going to make a difference? I'm happy you're optimistic. No. Okay? I don't know if it'll work, but I love this job because my job now is obsessing over figuring out how do we catch the damn bird. All right? So here's my best thinking. Our best thinking as a team today. So I want you to say three things. Action. Imagine. Politics. All right. I want you to walk away with those three things in your mind tonight. All right. So why do we go into action? Come on, you all know this. Get a reaction, internal or external, from GBIO members or our targets, who can say yes or no, who actually have the power to act on those things. Number two, to alter the relationship. The power relationship. How do people see us as an organization? Do they see us as somebody to sit and negotiate with or not? All right. We go into action to learn about ourselves as leaders, about ourselves as an organization. We also learn a lot about the power analysis, right? We went into action on the budget. What did we learn? Hard, not quite there yet. All right. That's why we're looking at 800 to 1,000 people. Now, when we go into action, how do you get a reaction? Okay, you need a target. Who are some of the targets that we're engaging with right now at the State House? I know you know their names. President Spilka, Governor Healy, Speaker Mariano. All right, big three, you got it. There's others. We need a target. Do we have specific aim, focus, demands, or asks? What's our number? What's our other number? All right, good. Pretty specific, right? 184, not 185, 184 million. Specific demands to get a reaction. Third, to get a reaction, we have to calculate our power relative to our target. Okay? That's why we're saying 800 to 1,000 people, because we did 300 at the State House for the launch, right? You heard the reactions we got. We got meetings. Do meetings win things? We're not saying right now, oh, you know, it's 884 million, but we could sort of like decide, is it right, is it not right? No, the true need is 184 million. 500 vouchers for people returning from incarceration, okay? We are very clear that we are 100% right on these things right now, okay? We're not negotiating down at this point. The reason that's important is because we could pack it up and go home right now. We could say, hey, we got 107 million in the budget, potentially. We can pack it up, we can go home, and we can say, you know, that's enough. Or we stay polarized. We say the true need is 184 million, 500 vouchers, real estate transfer fee, 8.5 billion. We stay polarized and we escalate. That's the other option. Eventually, we make an agreement, we depolarize, we have the targets there that you mentioned, and what do we do? Are we there yet? No. Where are we?
107.
We're at 107, and we're escalating. So I want you to just close your eyes for a minute and say, imagine. All right. So I want you to imagine 800 to 1,000 people in a room. I want you to imagine GBIO clergy, members of your congregation, tenants, housing authority executive directors and their staff and their t-shirts from all across the Commonwealth. I want you to imagine our brothers and sisters in the labor movement. And I want you to imagine us 800 to 1,000 strong, escalating, trying to shift the power dynamic and shift the priorities of the State House. I want you to imagine music. I want you to imagine TV cameras there. Well, all right? I want you to imagine that everyone deserves a home. All right? Open your eyes. Do you feel it? Do you see it? Do you taste it? All right. So imagine. So this is what this looks like. So why now? Number one, the bond bill, we know that they are working on it currently. We can wait till the fall when it comes out and react to the number, or we can get in front of it. All right. Number two, the legislative calendar, real estate transfer fee, the reentry legislation, all of that's going to be moving post-July once the budget is passed. We can get out in front of this and set the narrative of what dealing with the housing crisis looks like. Next, like, the reality is just timing. If we don't do this now, summer slowdown. June and July, people go on vacation, legislators pass the budget, they're all on vacation in August. We come back post-Labor Day, we have a meeting like this where we're like, all right, do we turn 800 and 1,000 people out? High holy days happen. Then next thing we know, it's October, November, right? Politically, that timing doesn't make sense to me. Okay, so that's why now. These are some of the reactions externally that if we really show up big and show up strong, June 26th can look like. We shift the political possibilities of housing. We have new relationships. Remember, imagine that group there coming out, the unlikely allies on housing. We have media there where we tell the story and set the narrative. even if we do not have specific targets present, does that mean we don't get a reaction? All right, that's the external reaction. Internal, our people, us. We test our turnout power. Are any of you a little stressed that we haven't done this since 2019? Yeah, me too. All right, well, how many people can we turn out? We're going to test that tonight. All right, we have to see, what are we made of? I don't know. I'm getting to know us too. Unity, stand together. We are one GBIO. Last, I think we need to launch a fall in-district meeting or in-district action campaign. All right, this is what this looks like. The call to action, June 26th for us, the 1,000 people there, the people you bring. We launched an in-district meeting action campaign where, again, imagine 40 people, 85 people from your congregation in districts. You invite your senator or rep in their district, and you get yes or no commitments on, will you support real estate transfer fee? Will you support the reentry legislation? Yes or no? Will you support 184 million in the 2024 budget? Yes or no? Say people are yes to all those things. Will you organize your colleagues to support these things? Who specifically will you talk to? Okay? We launched that, and that's our business in the fall. Does this make sense? June 26th? All right. So, in a minute, we're going to caucus, and this is where the fun begins. We're going to do the roll call. We're going to find out how many people we want to turn out on the 26th. So, I want you to think action, think imagine, and think politics. All right? And with that, turning it over to Rabbi Tov.
All right. So yes, so we have 10 minutes. So this, don't go yet. What you're going to do is find your folks from your institution. There are handouts, I believe, on the bench to help you with this. Your first goal is a bold, daring, but realistic number that you can turn out for June 26th. So think big, but make sure you're going to hold yourself to this number. If you do that very quickly or you already have a number, then start talking strategy. How is this turnout in your institution going to happen? And then designate someone from your group to report the number. And when that person's ready, we'll have 2 microphones here to do the roll call. So we're going to come back at 8:10. So 10 minutes, 9-10 minutes. Find your folks in your institution, come up with a number, and start talking about your strategy.
Hello, GBIO. If you are tenants in public housing, please come down in the front. See, Renee is waving her hand. If you are a tenant in public housing, please come down in the front.
Okay. All right. That's the way to get the lock. Yes.
Hi, how are you? I'm on the outside. Oh, sure.
Yeah. I'm AB for housing. I'm the AB guy.
Oh, okay. You're doing a great job.
Yes, this is my time. Great. It sounded great up there. Yeah, definitely. Right? Definitely.
Thank you for opening up in a few months, and then every now and then what we have, we get paid vouchers. Okay, so, okay. Yeah, right now, we don't post the wait like PHA. There is a notification to be notified when we so we don't have a wait I'm in my book about how our support is working. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. I got how out of the country and what they do for 3 years.
Let's stay together. Are we ready? We got our numbers. We got our power. Let's do it.
Good evening. I represent the Hyde Park Seventh-day Adventist Church, and initially it was 40, but I am going to be optimistic, and I believe 50 of us.
University Lutheran Tea Ridge 5.
Hi, my name is Brady Nicholas from Reservoir Church, and we're in 60. Kenneth, I'm representing with Mass Union, and we are with 75.
Sherry was here, representing from Stephen Wellesley, 25.
Religious Action Center of Massachusetts, 10, but we're going to do better than that. We just want to make sure we meet our commitment.
Mark Jones, United Parish in Brookline, we're coming with 30.
Union United Methodist Church, South End, 25, but we're gonna see if we can do more.
Temple Sinai in Brookline, Swallowed Heart, and said 40.
Temple Beth Zion in Brookline, we're committing to 25, but I'm hoping for more.
Rich from the Massachusetts Affordable Housing Alliance, we're committing to 5 to 10, but pushing for more.
Temple Hillel B'nai Torah in West Roxbury, 25.
Katie Cole, congregations in Natick, 10.
Tim Groves, Church of the Covenant, 15.
Jewish Alliance for Law and Social Action, 5.
Louise Enoch, Temple Dorshay Tzedek, and we're hoping for at least 25, but maybe 30 or 40.
Milton Mills, Roxbury Presbyterian Church, 15.
Roe Robinson from Fourth Presbyterian Church in South Boston, we're gonna bring 35.
St. John Smith, St. Paul's Brookline, 25.
Jibambui, St. Catherine Drexel, 25.
First Parish, Cambridge, 15, but we're gonna have more.
Jana Butler, Templeton Acres and Somerville, 18. Temple Shattuck, Winchester, 10, hoping for more. First Church, Cambridge, 40.
Eleanor Brown, Grant Amy Church, 12.
Temple Beth Shalom and Needham, 20.
First Church, Boston, UU, 8, and hoping for more.
Union Governor Boston, 40.
St. Paul, Amy, Cambridge, 25. Brookline Housing Authority tenants, 15, and aiming for more.
Harrison Reader from Old South Church in Boston will bring at least 25.
Won't get communities leaders, we're gonna bring 30 plus. No.
Temple Luna, 28.
Hancock Church, Lexington, 40.
Bethel Temple Center, Belmont, 30.
Temple Beth Shalom, Melrose, 25 plus.
Justice for Housing, an easy 40.
Master Al-Quran, 20. Muslim American Society of Boston, 12. Mosque Praise Allah, 25, and we're aiming for more.
The Wellness Collaborative Incorporated, 5.
And lead with love, one foot from the other, and lead with love. You gotta put one foot from the other, and lead with love. One foot from the other, and lead with love.
We're here today. We're not alone. And now it's time to shout. Everyone deserves a home.
You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. And love Pastor Lydia. Come on, roll call. Who else we got? Come on. Put us over the edge.
All right. Temple Israel of Boston will bring 83 people.
UUC and Medford, 10.
Do we have a number? Or the calculation? You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love.
All right, the number we have is 813 right now. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, y'all. If we believe in what is just, we better believe that we will show up. If we're agreeing that this is a thing, that we need justice, on housing for all people, then we are saying we are committing to one another and that we'll show up for each other, okay? I mean, did you guys hear the stories from Father Pratt, what he's gonna do, what this church is gonna do? Did you guys hear from Kenneth and Jose and hear the stories? Did you hear from Mass Narrow, Chapa, and Mass Union? Like, we have folks together, coming together. And if we believe in what we heard, then we have to put ourselves out there just like they did to our friends, to our networks, to our congregation, right? Are we going to show up and show our heart in numbers? So we need to lock our arms together, come together in power and in solidarity, get united, get strong, that from these dry bone stories that we heard, we will rise up and stand on our feet as a vast army of people with the spirit of hope and life. Let us come to life on June 26th, 1,000 strong, together. Stand together. So, thank you so much for having us. Will you please close us?
My sisters and brothers, God is good. And all the time. Amen. Let us place ourselves in a state of prayer. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end war. For we know that you have made the world in a way that people must find their own path to peace within themselves and with their neighbors. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end starvation, for you have already given us the resources with which to feed the entire world if we would only use them wisely. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to root out prejudice, for you have already given us eyes with which to see the good in all people, if we would only use them rightly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end despair, for you have already given us the power to clear away slums and to give hope, if we would only use our power justly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end disease, for you have already given us great minds with which to reach out cures, to search out cures and healing, if we would only use them constructively. Therefore, we pray to you instead, O God, for strength, for determination, and for the will to do the right, to do instead of just pray, to become instead those who will do what we know to be right and just in your sight. To you, O God, we pray. Amen.
Thanks, everyone. Good night. And for those of you who are on the agenda and a speaker, please meet in the back room. We're doing an evaluation in 5 minutes. If you are on the agenda, meet in the back room for the evaluation. Good night. See you June 26th.